Hello, Collective. Welcome to a timeless reading of yours. This is a shadow reading. I, Seventh, haven't really figured out a proper intro to quickly bring awareness to what I, Seventh, claim shadow to be. Yet, whatever I claim it to be, I would assume it meets some version of resonancy with you, due to the fact that we all have shadow. Shadow, on just a simple elementary school terminology, is indicative to representing itself in definition that when light casts itself onto something, whether it be a person, place, or thing, there's a refraction and a reflection that happens, and due to mass being in the obstruction of that, there is an absence of light that can cast around this, and it can more or less embody a silhouette of some kind. So we have an object and light reflects on it, and because this, my hand, is mass, light cannot penetrate through, so a silhouette in the wall is being formed. So although I deemed it with elementary, it's not elementary at all, right? The concept to squeeze in our perception towards understanding what it may mean, and then also utilizing the ego's journey to stand here, sit here, take in this reading in any shape, way that you're taking in this reading, is under the niche of tarot more chances than not. And when tarot comes in as the front runner to talk about shadow, the majority of the people are inundated with an automatic response. It's like an immediate trigger, and the immediate trigger is fight or flight. That's a physical aspect that shadow has met you, that something has triggered you because something is being penetrated by you, because you're taking in the energy that is reflecting onto it. With that ideology, with that example, comes that you, this hand, is attached to a form of intelligence. There's a mind, there's a heart, there's blood, there's oxygen, there's carbon dioxide, there's a whole mechanism that's happening, and you being this object. I would stress that in the continuing dialect of tarot has a language within it where a dialect to speak it is suggestive in using zodiac signs. So you have all the elements of air, which is Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Then you have fire, Sagittarius, Leo, and Aries. You have Earth, Virgo, Taurus, and Capricorn. And then you have water, Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. Those derivatives are categorically in the four elements. And that's where within tarot, because this is still a continuing conversation about tarot, due to the fact that this is also marketed as welcome to a tarot reading, right? The continuing dialect to have the conversation is that these categories are of elements, and then the elements is part of alchemy. Now, when alchemy meets the object of the thinking mind, we can start having the conversation of, oh, there's science that we can perpetuate here. And science is fact-driven, so it makes it more palpable to accept maybe challenging formulas. But if the solution is the solution, then it doesn't really matter how I feel about it, right? Because science is science. And that's where dialogue, speech, being here, being triggered in fight or flight, not knowing how you landed here, not knowing where the conversation could go, having a dialogue while listening with me with yourself and with me, although I might not be there to share that in immediate, real, quote unquote, real time with you. Those are real concepts that when we have an intimate moment where I like to use the analogy, having a cup of coffee and have a conversation, that when strangers meet at a coffee shop or friends meet to have a social gathering, let's say, to have some coffee, there is an element of surprise, of feeling a desire to want to possibly be there with, let's keep it high vibrational, the wanting to share, time and space with individuals, high vibrational, with the people that you love, the people that love you back, the people that can accept your pros and your cons, your perspectives, your challenging views, your ever-changing ways, your monotony, your complexities, whatever makes you you. That gathering in such activities, let's call them, feeds something, okay? And just bare minimum, it feeds something. I don't think I need to clarify that without it already having been somewhat being made clear already. Now, these elements, when it comes to alchemy, this fire, earth, wind, and water, and science, are more palpable for even the incoming person that is challenged with, why is this, the niche of tarot, so alluring to me? Yet why is it that there's a pressing something around me that I just don't really know how to target? I don't really know how to polish it up and really know what that is. And if you can't claim what that is, it's easy then to manipulate you to what it could be. And if manipulation is too rough, or manipulation was guttural and you understood, then that's proof to also accept, in the philosophical ways that I'm not a medical practitioner, but I would say in psychology, more or less, you can come up with the idea that to be triggered with feelings is a very personal thing. And when we're in journey to validate these feelings, we're on a quest. And sometimes this quest is having a cup of coffee. And sometimes the random quest of having a cup of coffee, either going on a solo dolo trip, you meet a stranger, you have a great, fantastic conversation, and this is high vibrational, right? The best case scenario. Great conversation and meeting of the minds, meeting of likeness. Maybe it's filled with going to get a cup of coffee, and then all of a sudden you meet somebody and you feel something. There's a sensation that is different than the moment, but the moment triggered it. These are elements where, within the confine of a personal conversation with not only yourself, but the people that you love, these are versions to entertain what it means to be human. These are versions to entertain the cathartic ways to be a sensitive and a sensible human being. To listen, to figure out empathy, to figure out compassion, to figure out the concept of figuring something out, to ask questions, to anticipate the arrival of an answer, satisfactory to you or not, requires such an intimate form of becoming that being intertwined with it has its own fight or flight, and that is you. Yes, there are energies that are so fucking powerful that when there is subordinate energy, that subordinate energy is reacting more or less, if it's a very low vibrational situation, in as a slave to this overpressing, powerful energy. What you're seeing is someone being in a continuum. In that continuum, they are viciously, to get to a point, a slave to. However, there is, with science, an integrity to the moral ethics of human nature, and it's tied to Mother Nature. there is a language there that, despite political views, despite your acceptance of niches that are yours or not, that are part of the construct of how you think or not, does not invalidate the existence of something else. Meaning, Mother Nature has made time and time a tale that in certain species have their own rulings to how they maintain the kingdom of that species. Us humans have been curious since we could think, and even more curious once we can interchange our thinking with each other with the tongue. The power of doing something has convoluted a lot of mess, because within the power of doing, there is still a lot of chaos. And so I would be safe to say that we should all honor the conversation with our shadows. We should all honor the aspects of what makes us potentially ugly, potentially vicious, potentially cunning, potentially guilty prone or guilty triggering. You are potentially always a trigger to someone else who thinks other than you, who perceives different than you, who achieves the likeness of you, who can share likeness with you. You will forever be a goddamn trigger. And that is important for you to remember, because as you come becoming a trigger, you are a trigger because you are bringing breath onto thee. The moment to take all this in, however much you want to slow this down, put it on a reverb, leave it, slow it down, speed it up, I'm being repetitive. Whatever that is your solo way of making a version of yourself come in alignment with what is being triggered by yourself as well. Part of the equilibrium that keeps that shit grounded or at bay or at ease or under the rug are the pressure densities that I would say within this reading, shadow, is permissible, done by you with denial, with lies, with dishonesty, with one foot in one door, one foot in the other door, not really honoring what a yes is, not really honoring what a no is, not understanding, not listening, not thinking, not stopping, not sleeping, big one, not challenging your fears. Once you are unaware that you are capable of being 100% guilty of that, once you're aware of that, you'll accept that you are a trigger, because you are a human. You are a species that belongs to some derivative to this animal kingdom of human species. So, as a non-binary Homo sapien species of, I'm not, Latin is not my word, my tongue, so don't at me. But the non-binary aspects of who we are is very binary to the vibrations that it belongs to. You can trace that back with science and studying sound and studying colors. Now, I don't care if this then, because it's science, ambiguous, and colors unanimous to every fucking thing. Music, you either like it or you don't. If you don't like music, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you. But, the things I'm hearing. Anyway, there is a need to accept that you, the body, have mass. And because light is impossible to penetrate through you, there will be a shadow everywhere you fucking turn, whether you see it or not. Starting with yourself, the internal parts that you, when you look it down into your skin, or you look through the telescope of a lens, you can't see the working parts of within yourself. Only science teaches you that. And then even then it's still a mystery. Okay, so shadow hopefully will not be a 14-minute long fucking intro all the goddamn time. But what's important to note is Yes, you trigger it. Yes, it possesses you. You have to stand tall in the acceptance to understand that you are not a problem within the problem. You are a solution, becoming aware. And once you become aware within the problem, you're no longer part of the problem. You're above the narrative. And as long as you're above the narrative, you can float to another one. And that's so important to kind of find out where you are swimming as a being, as a species, listening out to this niche marketed to you as a tarot reading, where to imply also that it's a tarot reading, to use tarot cards. I haven't used a card yet. And if you're still here listening out to the reading, we're having a good conversation. That's humanity. I'm just marketing it a certain niche. And I am loyal to how I'm marketing it. And I am always in search of the highest vibrational forms with me, although knowing that not only could I potentially be a trigger, I am a trigger. As soon as I exist, the moment I breathe existence into my vessel, I am a trigger for someone and something because I am a trigger to myself. Once we understand this, we can accept everything that comes and goes and is around us because everyone is then partaking everything, that same journey. Once we can zero that in, you'd be surprised. Now, if some of you haven't searched that, start beginning. That's funny. If some of you haven't been feeling secure, what it means to swim harmoniously in that journey and get rid of the taboos or live in the taboos, but reach for whatever you want to reach for, not be afraid for you reaching. Because if you're afraid of yourself, then you will continuously be afraid of something other than you. And you might live happily within it. You might be happily within it. But then at the same time, you'll say, yeah, I'm happy, but in the moment with psychology in mind, and I outwitted a psychologist with this, if you're telling me something and in that middle of the sentence you're saying the word but, you're completely invalidating any of the words that were said before the word but. I love the play-by-play in words because when I say then that, it was like I was hearing a joke in my head with the word but, because it's like I will make an ass out of myself maybe making these assumptions, or I bet your ass, like there's comedy within the structures of being a humble human being. And the majority of the most delicious conversation I've had with people have been with strangers. The most compelling, enriching lessons have come forth mostly with strangers. A lot of the shaping has come with the majority of the people that were frequent or more frequent than the stranger in my life. So it took the stranger to help me witness certain patterns in my life and then give me subtle permission to restructure those patterns. Because if I acknowledged I had patterns, I acknowledged a possibility that I no longer wanted to be part of that pattern. That is the key to knowing thyself. Knowing about your fight and flight. The fight and the fucking flight. In full respect to who and what you are. And with it becomes you. So whatever you think shadow it to be, let it be that. Whatever you think it can attach itself to what? How? How? With all the due respect, with everything that I've just said, how? We're going to have also respect for, some crazy stories, right? The elephant in the room that comes into this, which is the biggest shadow to my point, which is being seventh that reads energies for Bastet and Sekhmet, is scripture and humans' perception of scripture. Now, I, seventh, who is human in this lifetime, to have this real-time conversation, whatever real-time is in this conversation, has to confess that I don't care for scripture. I am ignorant to it. And with respect to what I not only see and how I can have the dialogue, I respect, but I humbly respect it to be away from me. That doesn't mean people of the structure can't have a conversation, because I have one of, again, the best conversations with people who are different from me. They challenge my viewpoints. Not for nothing, every single one of them is an amazing conversation. And once you are intrigued by complex conversations that most likely will occur with standpoints that are different from you, you learn about who you are. You learn about the things that you are willing to learn more about and grow and branch out like a tree, or you are comfortable where you are. There's no harm in any of that. None of that. The harm is when, and this is my personal opinion, backed up by a lot of shit, but, personal opinion, that those who follow the laws of scripture are forgetting that the scripture is a riddle. And if you, in real time in a third dimension, is very structured to reteach the scripture and not reminding someone that it's actually a riddle, not to be solved by you, but by the person reading it, I don't see the point. Now, remember, I said I backed up with my ego, seventh, to be here in this moment. And this is not the channel to argue. Let's put it that way. All right, I'll leave that for Sister Bastet's like, Sister Sekhmet is saying, Not here. Okay, so let's talk about whatever could be more storytelling, okay? All right, so, ladies and gentlemen, and all those in between and beyond, again, this is a shadow reading. You have tapped into a collective reading that I, Seventh, am holding at this time. I am Seventh, aka Master Seventh, that reads these energies, all right? I'm a master healer that provides remote wellness alignments. If I said it like 23 minutes ago, sorry for the repeat, but we're restarting this, okay? Whatever that may mean for them. And to be honest, I'm hearing I was too much in my ego, so that's why we're starting again. If we even started, I don't know at this point. All right, so remember, please, that when cards come up, feminine, masculine energies are non-gender specific. Femininity, however, encapsulates feminine and masculine energies. Masculinity as well has feminine and masculine energies. I, being a remote healer, also offer different services that I have made available for you that you can gain access to via the description box below. Or also the bio. Who knows? Okay. So there's a pattern change that's going to occur. Whether that already has recently occurred to you and you being geographically located where Mother Earth has completely changed and you're inundating yourself with, is climate change like real? I mean, things change. And change is change. So, like, some conversations are just so draining. Like, they're not awe-inspiring anymore. And that's part of the problem. But there needs to be a shift, if the shift hasn't occurred to you in your consciousness awareness already, to teach you that the concept of human consciousness has drastically changed. And the drastic changes are very available for you to fact check, should you be curious enough to do so. However, the speed and the density that this is, and remember we said light casted onto an object, right? And this light is vibration. This light is color. This light is all that is. You'll see the rainbow in this sequence forever done. Whether artificially around where oil and water should not meet, there is fucking a rainbow of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet ring around it. Alright? Now, look how something can form with the oil and water shouldn't meet, like an oil spill on the ground. Not good for the environment, right? And then the fucking rainbow ring is right around it. Some reason we don't say, oh, that's pretty. Or if we were to say, oh, that's pretty, we're in like, but don't you see what you're saying is, oh, it's pretty too? Like, that's what oil spill is. Not nice for the planet. But if you look up into the sky and we see a little rain and a little sunshine, it's like, oh, the rainbow. All of a sudden, now that it's up there, it's safer for us for us to have that perspective. Like, do you understand what's happening here? Can you at least feel it? And wherever you are in feeling it, wherever you are to rationalize that thought, is it logical? I'm pretty sure your whole body is like, fuck off, no. It's not logical at all. So what are you supposed to do? Exactly. And for that, we must stay true to what shadow is only of, and that shadow is of you. So, you are the solution to the bigger problem. You might find yourself to be lonely. You might find yourself to be smitten with atrocities. You might be having a lot to say and no care in the world to say it. That's how much you can say something. Yeah, look at you. Look how powerful. Queen of Wands. Powerful, huh? Queen of Wands doesn't stop for anyone. Not even herself. There's times where she runs herself so tired. Runs herself so exhausted for having to explain and defend and to tame and to defend and to tame and to lie to, because it's like she gets to. Right? All of a sudden be like, yeah, we understand when that matters. What do you mean? We only understand because it's shadow? Or do we have to accept that shadow is just as real and prevalent and can be so earth-shatteringly sexy in its own ways of bloody bitter truth? If that's more palpable? I bet that is. I bet it's easier to take in truth to define this transparency than a little bit of white lies over little tiny dashes of doses. Like, that will kill somebody. Tower card and the Emperor here with the Five of Swords. So, Queen of Wands is fucking dumb, alright? Now, she is ripping herself internally apart. She's in shreds. She has no sense of capacity any longer to keep her shit together, alright? While She looks like everything looks perfect. She more or less hears somewhere down the grapevine of you have nothing to complain about, or you shouldn't complain, or stop complaining. You, my friend, have been gaslit. That is emotional abuse, verbal abuse, verbal manipulation, emotional manipulation. You have been abused in some way or another. The moment you gave yourself the first breath, up to now, there was trauma upon thee. That the inner engine of you was too proud to deal with that shit again. So it did what it did best, clammed the fuck shut, and is like, fuck off no more. No, fuck off no more. And you see it as an internal fight or flight because the body does not want to deal with that again. It's the intelligence of your body. No. No. It's a consensual no, 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 no. Whether or not you are embracing the knowing value of that no might be part of the problem, because that's where arguments, strife, tug of wars, atrocities, vicious behavior upon yourself and others occur. But what are we supposed to do with all this? Yeah? There are logical things that you can do. Logical things that, although they might be logical, aren't always one size fits all in our routines, right? The logical thing is to hear then, maybe you should go to counseling, seek a life coach, go to gym, eat better. Like, have more water. But what are the mantras that you listen to that are like, fetch your affirmations? We all do it. We all need to. And that's why we can be sassy about the delivery, to do a little punch to get to humility again, which is the nice little cloak of humbleness. Shadow teaches you that, huh? The narrative of your growth is the decisions of the perspective that you put your focus to. Run that back if you need to hear that again. With the 2 of Wands here, is saying that at most oftentimes than not, because the fight or flight is chaotic, and the chaotic has no intelligence factor to it, neither is the intelligence factor evolving in your environment. So we need to put a little bit more intelligence into chaos. So that means you, the one that might be responsible for being all love and light, need to take your intelligence all love and light and confess to your fucking shadows. And do so immediately, 3311. Because there is a subtle dismissiveness that's happening here. And it has a lot to do with how with all due respect here, with the indoctrinated versions of where some of you are getting your information from, the internal information, the aptitude of self-permission, and then needing to break away from that chain. Where you come in knowing that you know information, you were just too young to process the intelligence of the information that you knew. Now life is telling you you have the vernacular tongue to talk in the linguistics. You just need to revert back to what it is that you know, in order to understand the position as to the maturation process of who you are. Sounds simple, is it? No. But when a sound gets explained like this in a possible way, it might seem possible. Something far-reaching might seem closer. And although, you don't need taboo of tarot to be the door that offers a gateway to like demons and negative black magic energy. Like you don't need that to be introduced to know that violence is out there. Yeah? I mean, I'm pretty sure some of y'all have a fucking, like, starting with your phone and the maybe more than one news apps that you're continuously possibly getting notifications of to understand, to be politically part of the narrative, so that way you're not the asshole in your generation. Yeah. At the same time, there's oppressing feelings in doing that internally, isn't there? Something feels off by that. Point is that there is the same, if not more, violence happening in the love and light mantra, where you also get your affectionate, go chase your affirmations via a box called the news, or your cell phone, or a box of an app. Anyway, I, as a humble human being, or aiming to be humble, that's whatever the perspective is, it really bothers me that materialism in the world of, as the top of the deck has a high priestess, that's marvelous. In materialism, humans have a tendency to take what is material, which is any third dimensional object, and put a value on them. And the interesting intellect of the logic is that although anything showing up in the third dimension is of the same value, because it's showing up in the third dimension, so it is the representation, it's in full-blown third dimensional value. So it cannot be more or less in just the dividend of being in the third dimension. If I claim this paper is third dimensional, because I can pick it up and I feel it, it's the same as this deck being third dimensional. It's the same as myself being third dimensional, or this crystal, or this can, or this tree. Everything in this space is equally of the same value. That's just on logic. And then there's a tendency to put placement on the value. If this is a standard playing card deck, maybe you'll be interested to play poker. If this was a deck of oracles, you're an oracle reader. If this was an index card deck, you might be just studying notes. If this is a card of pictures that has some, I don't know, that kind of seems a little bit religion, just made up a word, then oh no, don't touch it, it's got an X on it, I rebuke you. And these same complexities sit in the living room, lounge in their bedrooms, put on Netflix, and watch scary movies. Or anime, or Marvel, reality TV shows. Are you not understanding? Or are you here because you understand? And then what? Knight of Wands with the Four Swords. Okay. So, resistance is key. Resistance will be your undoing. Whatever you are resistant for and to or against will be your reckoning. Lovers and Nine of Pentacles. I was just saying, you're inundated in my head. I was hearing, whatever. Feminine and masculine energy are non-gender specific. Femininity has both feminine and masculine energies. Masculinity as well has feminine and masculine energies. And then there's you experiencing all that. And then there's you with a dialect to have a conversation with plants and animals. And be loved in the embrace of you being you. And then there are certain characteristics that you might be condemned to be triggered at that aren't, let's say, forthcoming and or acceptable to society. Where then you might come in and challenge the idea whether or not what you're doing is of black magic or of light magic, or if the person is of black light or white light or rainbow light. The problem with that is that you're continuously externally coming up with a blockage because of invalid, for invalid tendencies within is what I heard, but it's for not validating the invalidations within you. It's an exposure, all right? Now, this is where, like, we have to, like, herd people together, because it does take, in more ways than one, law and order in order to tame the human species. The idea of law and order has to be clear and concise. It cannot lie on the law and or on the order. And that is where we continuously, collectively land ourselves in trouble, to be honest. And that the law and the order are stabbing each other. They're lying upon each other. Calling policy laws when policies are not laws. And mandate is another word for policy, and mandate is not a law. To challenge your fight and flight to what is sovereignty within you and what should be forthcoming for you having the right to decide. Enter shit ton of other conversations we could have based on that. But we're putting the plug back in. There's no need. Our concerns of our shadows, our fear of maybe life, a fear of death, a fear of aging, a fear of knowing, a fear of unknowing, the fear of the right verbiage, the fear of doing it the right way, the fear of being right and knowing wrongs, the fear of being wrong and knowing right, and the bleedings between the two. To assess yourself and your reactions and compare it to other people's reactions. All the visceral and limitless ways that we can expose ourselves to the chemical reaction, that we are in this existence. Yet you cannot permeate and extend a lending hand and offer your good graces of gratitude and loving energy if you do not assess, dissect, and rebuild the also quote-unquote ugly parts of you. Because on the quest of, let's say, love, where you want an equal, secretly you're yearning for that equal to accept all versions of you. That whatever would come leaking out, they'll look it up like a good little ice cream and find it delicious. If that's the quest, if that resonates with you, you must begin with yourself. This isn't just acceptance, this is active doing, this is active work. This is active challenging the disciplining within the feminine aspects of you that both generate feminine and masculine energies, and then doing that with masculine energies within you. The Empress. And there you have it. It's all you. The mystery is not a mystery. It's a concept of knowing how far your webbing went. And if you want to know the pathway and how to travel to that destination, you got to get to know yourself. And your shadow already knows the path. With that being said, I'm wishing you a wonderful morning, noon, or night, wherever you are in the ether of this time and space. And may you keep flowing, growing, and glowing. Take care.